How good to be together again. I hope everything is fine with you. Recently, a video has been viralized on social networks in which we see Pope Francis, who is in a wheelchair due to health problems that are coming up, opening a gigantic door that is being led by two bishops to the interior of a living room. This image, as simple as it seems, moved with the head of some people, and said that this would be part of a ritual to prepare the arrival of the Antichrist. It is one of the most controversial papas of the last few years. Has any relation to the power hidden from the New World Order? Another thing for you to think, where can people get to try to explain something that they do not understand? Let's check this video. The Vatican and its members have always been the target of macabre theories, secret archives in the subsoil that keep not only manuscripts, but also objects intriguingly mysterious from the past, and a past that even condemns the Catholic Church itself. The connection with the Illuminates, whose purpose is to have total control over humanity, a relationship with the New World Order and the main stage, where the presentation of the Antichrist will be made, and the relationship with the Amistar, which Claire and Gutierrez had with this same Antichrist. The Pope is not out of this, of course, because he himself has already been ruled as such. In fact, the Rotulus is what is not missing from Pope Francis, because he is, let's say, a little more liberal in relation to some traditions and highly conservative customs. He is harshly criticized by members with traditional ideals for supporting positions contrary to the Bible, and has yet to try to undermine the power of the Catholic group, conservative Opus Dei, which is present today in 60 countries. Opus Dei is a personal prelacy of the Catholic Church, which is a structure created specifically for the purpose of reaching an objective. In this case, the purpose is a participation of the gospel mission of the Church. He seeks to spread the Christian life in the world, in work and in the family, the universal call to holiness, and the sanctifying value of daily work. The sanctification of work is still preserved in the words of its founder, Jose Maria Estribada and Balaguer. Work is holy, sanctify us and sanctify others. The fact is that unlike the previous papas that fed the group's strength, Pope Francis has dealt with Opus Dei with short networks, in order to show that his power as leader in the Catholic Church still prevails. On the other hand, Opus Dei is not a group contrary to Pope Francis. However, whenever it is contrary to some pope's affirmation, they put themselves on the table of discussions in order to find a common point. There is also the question of Pope Francis being linked to ideologies. Many within the Church itself criticize. Two well-known names among the clergy, Bishop Joseph Strickland of Texas and Cardinal Raymond Burke of Rome, were recently erased by Pope due to his firm criticism and disagreement with his post. And in the case of Burke, it was even worse. He was dismissed from his functional apartment in Vatican, in addition to having had a short salary. Critics on Francis also weigh when the subject is social and environmental concerns. Some critics, especially within the most traditional Catholic circles, argue that Francis is paying less attention to issues of doctrines and spirituals, such as the fight to sin, evangelization, and the defense of orthodoxy. For these groups, the emphasis on social and environmental justice can be seen as secondary or even as a distraction from the central issues of the faith. Biblically, they are right, land issues must exist, but they cannot be priorities for the maximum leader of the Church. Pope Francis frequently criticizes the uncontrolled capitalism, social inequality, and environmental exploration, which can be interpreted as a front for more liberal views of the market and the economic status quo. Political and business groups, especially in the United States, have opposed their positions, accusing them of promoting a socialist or globalist agenda. Francis has adopted an inclusive and progressive posture in relation to controversial issues, such as climate change, immigration, poverty, and rights to marginalized populations. The publication of the Laudato Si in 2015 NK Pope Francis deals with the environmental crisis and the need for care with the common home, generated strong resistance among those who deny the existence or gravity of climate change. But these criticisms come both from within and outside the church, frequently influenced by political and economic interests. Within the Catholic hierarchy, there are cardinals, bishops, and priests who discredit the Pope for ideological reasons. For these members, the declarations of the pontiff can be diluted by the Catholic identity in secular issues, while issues such as the defense of life against abortion or against euthanasia, for example, do not pay the same attention, again in coherence with the other members. And to complete, Pope Francis is highly engaged in global and social debates, which makes him a leader with a strong political impact. Of course, this visibility and influence generates resistance from groups that prefer that the church remain as a religious and moral institution without interfering in political or social issues. Well, in sum, Francis managed to gather a lot of discontent people, thus making many enemies within and outside the institution he leads. The consequences of this seem obvious: attack on all sides, not trying against your life, but against your person as a priest authority. We are not here to say what the Pope should or should not do, but that his operating methods have left many discontent people inside the church. This is undeniable. And as I said, especially the conservative wing, which is not small and has active voice inside the Vatican. But what does the Holy Door have to do with this? Well, it represents something bad for humanity. Or would it be just part of a tradition of the church? What do we know? That there are several conspiracy theories involving religious symbols and apocalyptic events circulating centuries, and the Holy Door of the Vatican is not an exception. The Holy Door, located in the 4 Roman basilicas, is one of the important symbols of the Jubilee of the Catholic Church. Traditionally, it is open to the Pope every 25 years, marking the beginning of a holy year, a period of plenary indulgence and spiritual renewal for the Church. However, for some conspiracy theories, this sacred ritual is linked to something much more sinister: the arrival of the Antichrist. Some apocalyptic and critical groups of the Catholic Church claim that the Holy Door, with its symbol of renewal and passage, can be reinterpreted as a spiritual portal for the Antichrist to enter the world. These theoretical arguments, although when opening the Holy Door, the Pope would be conscious or unconsciously allowing dark forces to manifest on earth, they base their affirmations on the passage of the Apocalypse, as a mention of gates and keys that open the abyss. As I said, for example, in verses 1 and 2 of chapter 9 of the Apocalypse, in this perspective, Pope Francis often talks about conspiracies due to his progressive positions. It is pointed out as a pontiff that would be inaugurating this new era associated with the government of Antichrist. This would also extend to the New World Order, which would be a new type of unique government that would establish the order between humanity. So, no doubt there is an extraordinary secular and religious movement in course that can indicate prophetic complements and radical changes. Can you see this happening? Recent events are cited by some theorists as indications that we are approaching the supposed manifestation. They see the reforms promoted by Pope Francis as opening the dialogue with other religions and the emphasis on social issues as part of an agenda to unify humanity under a global government, something that is clearly associated with the domain of Antichrist. The environmental concern of the pontiff is interpreted as an effort to establish a new global ecological religion by eliminating the traditional Christian values. This refers to the climatic crisis and the Laudato Si encyclical, about which we will talk shortly. Another act of Francis, very criticized, was the opening of the Santa Gate in 2015 during the extraordinary Jubilee of the Mercy. According to Pope's critics, the Santa Gate was opened in a date outside the regular cycle of 25 years. This was pointed out as an anomalous event, supposedly loaded with hidden symbolism. In addition to biblical bases, some conspirators traveled the numerologies and the symbology to reinforce their ideas. They claim that the Santa Gate is more than a physical structure. It would be a spiritual channel between the terrestrial world and spiritual dimensions. The opening of the gate, therefore, would mark a direct connection with demonic entities. The relics and inscriptions on the gates that portray the passage of Christ's life are also minutely analyzed by these groups. Some have come to claim that certain images can be interpreted as invested prophecies in which Christ is replaced by the figure of Antichrist. It is evident that the Catholic Church refutes these theories by classifying them as malicious, fantasy interpretations of its rituals. For the Church, the Santa Gate is a symbol of divine mercy, inviting the faithful to renew their faith and seek reconciliation with God. Historians and theologians also highlight that these theories often reflect a deep ignorance about the liturgy and the Catholic teachings. However, theories like this persist, especially in times of global crisis, when fear and uncertainty feed on apocalyptic narratives. What could bring these theories to life? People against the Pope? Theoretics of the conspiracy wanting to draw attention? Or would it be part of a truth that we completely unknow? It is as the Lord warns us in the sacred scriptures. Who has heard? Listen. And you? What do you think of this Pope and all this movement? Leave it in the comments. If we are really at the doorstep, in your opinion, of the second coming of Christ, we thank you very much for your very special company. Until the next video,